This video is brought to you by the Kaiju no Kami store, Creativity by Design LLC.com/shop. You can buy all kinds of cool Kaiju no Kami merchandise. We've got t-shirts, notebooks, pens, water bottles, and a poster. Check it out, and thank you for your business. Now back to the review. What's up, everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game from one of my favorite video game franchises, Metroid Dread, for the Nintendo Switch. For those who have no idea what Metroid is, and if you don't, shame on you. It is only one of the greatest gaming franchises out there, like Resident Evil and Legacy of Kain. Metroid is the story of a bounty hunter who wears an armored suit named Samus Aran. It was one of the first video games that allowed the player to explore an open world in the form of a 2D side-scroller, and everyone initially had to make their own map thanks to certain areas being blocked off until you acquired equipment upgrades throughout the game. These upgrades, found across the entire franchise, include various missile types, different beam styles, suits that allow you to traverse in hostile environments, and my personal favorite, one called the Screw Attack. The first sequel was released on the Game Boy, with the next installment being on the Super Nintendo. Super Metroid is without a doubt my personal favorite video game of all time. It is one of the only two video games in existence I have currently played through 58 times. There was another Game Boy follow-up and a trilogy of first-person games on the GameCube and Wii. Oh, and a Ninja Gaiden game with a Metroid skin, but we'll ignore that dumpster fire. Anyway, Nintendo had been pretty keen on keeping the numbered Metroid games situated with only the 2D side-scrollers, with Super Metroid being Metroid 3, Metroid Fusion being Metroid 4, while the latest installment, Metroid Dread, is Metroid 5. It can make the timeline confusing considering the Prime games take place between 1 and 2, while other M is between Super and Fusion. However, it also means if you only want to play the main narrative to Metroid, you know what games to go through. In 2017, Nintendo had released a remake of Metroid 2 on the 3DS, which revolutionized the 2D Metroid gameplay with deeper environmental backgrounds that gave life to Samus' surroundings, along with a new counter mechanic that allowed you to stun enemies for stronger attacks.
When danger swoops in, master this move's timing, read your enemy, and face your fears head on, and make them fear you.
Both of these advancements have returned for Metroid Dread, adding in a more visceral experience on top of the core Metroid mechanics. In Dread, Samus arrives on a new planet chasing after a parasite that may or may not have survived her encounter in the previous game. She is attacked by an evil bird-like being known as a Chozo, named Ravenbeak, and wakes up stripped of her abilities, thus requiring you to go through the entire planet to regain them. As if this wasn't bad enough, there are robotic assassins that patrol certain areas of the game Samus is unable to contend with until she temporarily accesses a specialized attack that will allow her to finish them off. These areas can be quite frustrating to go through, especially early on. Expect to die a lot at the hands of these creatures, but there is no need to worry because thankfully the game has a checkpoint system when dealing with these creatures that always send you back to the entrance of the last door you entered into one of these sections. Thus, by the halfway point, I felt like I had acquired Stockholm Syndrome as I simply accepted my death and tried again without getting mad at the game for it. It also does bring a slight puzzle element into the mix as you try to work a way around your robotic assailants, specifically in one area full of water before you obtain the gravity suit. Or you can sequence break things and get the gravity suit before you reach that area. If you don't know what sequence break is, look it up. It's something that has kept Super Metroid going for decades for some people. One addition from Metroid Fusion was a robot AI companion that would assist you in your quest. Adam has returned for this game.
You are not capable of destroying their armor plating. This would be true even at your full capabilities. You are faced with overwhelming power. Accept your helplessness.
Thanks? I think? Bosses can be equally frustrating as many of them can take a multitude of hits before they go down. One boss royally gave me a headache with how many attempts I had to make on its life before I was finally successful, as it tended to take 2 to 3 energy tanks per hit. Nevertheless, when I put the boss in its place, I celebrated immensely. My biggest issue was that some bosses can only be defeated using the counter mechanic, which can be annoying if your precision is off. The graphics are spectacular with gorgeous backgrounds. Some of those found in the fire areas were exceptional to look at. I did like one instance when I was first entering an area of the game through an elevator and the wildlife scattered about. Some areas are extremely large, which can make backtracking a bit of a pain if you forgot exactly where the door or wall was you left behind hours ago because you didn't have the right item to access them. There are also items that will require precise precision to obtain through what is called the Shine Spark. The Shine Spark is the term given to an ability that allows Samus to run super fast, store the energy, and then use it as some sort of attack. There are several items in each area that can only be obtained through the speed of the Shine Spark, which can take multiple attempts until you are successful. Here are a few clips of my oh so fun time getting these. One of Metroid's strong points has been in its music. All of the previous games have used music to enhance the environment you are traversing, which is no different here in Dread. If there is any negative to the soundtrack, it's the reuse of previous tracks.
E.M.M.I marhuma satari lin ashkar beshik. Tamus harlan.
Still, that does not hinder its enjoyment one bit and adds some continuity to the game. Overall, I don't have too much more to say about Metroid Dread other than I loved it. Even when I was screaming at it, I loved it. I just hope it doesn't take Nintendo another 20 years to get to Metroid 6. In fact, I really hope they port the remake of 2 to the Switch, and hell, how about a 2D collection that also encompasses Fusion, Super Metroid, Zero Mission, and maybe the original versions of Metroid 2 and 1. Just saying, Nintendo, would be nice. I would totally buy them, because as you can see, of course, knowing Nintendo, they'll port other M to the Switch. Yeah. If you have never played a Metroid game before, now is the time to do so. Until next time, bye!
The first words out of his mouth were typical coming from Adam. To answer his question, I recounted the details of what had brought me to this place, and then I asked what circumstances led the Federation here. The word he so obviously chose, outsider, pierced my heart.
Shut up!